Good morning. I'm State Representative Alicia Thomas Morgan. I'm standing here with the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus. I am going to turn it over to our chairman, Senator Emanuel Jones, and we will hear from several speakers this morning, members of our Legislative Black Caucus who have been directly affected by the proposed and soon-to-be signed maps by our governor, Senator Emanuel Jones.
Thank you, Representative Alicia Morgan Thomas. As chairman of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus, the largest black caucus in these United States, we stand before you in front of the statue named Expelled Because of Color. Back in 1868, 35 members of this General Assembly was expelled from this body simply because of their color. The base of this foundation was built to represent black political awareness. When you look at this process, this redistricting process that we just went through these past few days, you can only think about what the impact this process has had on blacks throughout the great state of Georgia. As chair of this caucus, we stand here today seeking justice. Not justice from those in the majority party that seek a supermajority, but we seek justice from our own U.S. Justice Department. We are here today calling on our Attorney General, Eric Holder, and the Justice Department to deny the preclearance of both the House and the Senate bills that was drawn by the majority party here today. Thank you.
Our first speaker is State Senator Freddie Powell Sims, who will speak to us. Who will speak to us about how the Senate maps have affected her.
Today, Southwest Georgians have again sustained further isolation from the state's political process through the complete dismantling of Senate District 14 and the subsequent shifting of District 12. During the Democratic primary of 1990, Senator George Hooks of the 14th received over 76% of the vote in Sumter County, a majority county of 51% African American population. He has a proven track record of crossover voting, but the current Senate Reapportionment Committee has seen fit to silence this solid, formidable public servant by pairing him with an African American senator from District 12, myself. Together, Senator Hooks and I worked tirelessly for all of Southwest Georgians. Under the newly proposed Senate maps, Southwest Georgians have become potential pawns with muted voices. Let it be duly noted that the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus opposes both Senate and House maps for their discriminatory practices by packing African Americans in districts and pairing many of our members against one another and with other white Democrats. In this case, George Hooks being the lone white Democrat left in South Georgia. This significantly dilutes members' influence and the power of their vote. Clearly, this was not the intention of the Voting Rights Act. Thank you.
As a member of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus, I stand with the Black Caucus in opposition to the House and Senate maps for their discriminatory practices of packing African Americans in districts and pairing many of our members, including myself and Representative Ralph Long, against one another, as well as against our white Democratic brothers and sisters. The practice directly dilutes our Democratic members' influence and the power of voters and their voices in the political process in Georgia state politics. Furthermore, it will eliminate the incumbents who have been chosen by the voters to best represent their legislative interests district-wide. Let's be clear. The Supreme Court has recognized that there is a legitimate state interest in preserving the seniority of incumbents who have achieved that process because of the true beneficiaries of the incumbency are the voters, not the incumbent. In addition, as the first out black lesbian to serve in a state house in the entire United States, My mere presence in this House and my perspective as an out African American lesbian state legislator in Georgia represents the voice of over 250,000 people of all races here in Georgia who otherwise may not have their voices heard. At best, the GOP maps are a slap in the face of those who have fought for African Americans and all minority and marginalized people to participate in the process of electing candidates of their choice and benefit from candidates they trust and continue to elect. At the least, these maps were drawn and absurd. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Is it afternoon? Good morning. I strongly object to the maps drawn by the Republican leaders from my legislative district and that of DeKalb County. This map does not take into account the divergent needs of disparate communities drawn together. It fails to consider and support the communities of interest, which is one of the guidelines supposedly adopted by the Reapportionment Committee. Moreover, this newly drawn district results in classic gerrymandering and, in my view, as such, dilutes the voice and influence of the citizens that I serve, including those citizens in DeKalb and Henry County. Furthermore, I find it concerning that I am one of the few African Americans Democrats to be paired against a Caucasian member of my party in the area of the county that historically has never been linked together and could no otherwise be construed or constructed. And to remove the requirement for this pairing, the committee could have done so because there were 2 empty districts drawn in DeKalb County. If this is not remedied, it is likely that this pairing will violate the prohibition against racial discrimination in the creation of electoral districts. Now, as chair of the DeKalb House delegation, I am furtherly deeply disturbed by the potential polarization along racial lines that this proposed map would generate through the county. DeKalb has historically evidenced the true intent of the Voting Rights Act, the integration of minority voters into the full participation in the electoral process amid the protection of their right to choose an elected representative regardless of race or candidate. By pairing our representatives into unwieldy and disparate districts, the proposed maps for DeKalb will result, in my opinion, the resegregation of the county in terms of its political representation and will undermine not only the progress made in building multiracial coalition, but also the stated intent of the Voting Rights Act in an egregious and insupportable manner. This map violates, in my view, several of the core principles regarding redistricting, the guidelines adopted by, again, this committee. And let me emphasize, after these maps have been drawn, and it is a blatant, unconscionable gerrymandering serves only to maximize the political power and influence of the Republican Party by diluting the racial diversity of state representation in DeKalb County. Thank you.
Before we get to our final speaker and open for any questions, I want to take a moment to thank our allies who have joined us this morning. We have people from the Georgia Coalition for the People's Agenda, Georgia Rural Urban Summit, and others, and we're grateful for your support and your solidarity in standing with us against these maps. Our final speaker, unless there are other members of the caucus who would wish to speak, we're going to have State Senator Vincent Fort.
I'm here to speak to the specific situation in Fulton County. The Senate redistricting plan, in effect, not only resegregates Fulton County, but it also creates a situation which can be aptly described as apartheid. Fulton County has been carved up into 11 districts. Before this redistricting plan, Fulton County had 4 Democratic representatives and 3 Republican representatives. And now we have Fulton County carved up into 11 different districts with 7 Republican districts and 4 Democratic districts. We know that's a pathway to the colonization, in effect, the colonization of Fulton County, a situation where white Republicans will be able to dominate the politics of Fulton County, even though Fulton County is 67% Democratic as of 2008. Even in the off years, Democrats control 60% of the vote in Fulton County. So for the Republicans to institute a redistricting plan, which includes this domination of Fulton County, is not only wrong, we believe it too violates the Voting Rights Act. And we are prepared, my colleagues in Fulton County and my colleagues nearby, because they've done similar things in Bibb County, where they have drawn Bibb County to have 2 Republicans, 2 white Republicans, and 1 black Democrat. They've done the same thing in Henry County and other places. So we stand strong on this situation. When we're going to fight it, we're going to fight it now. We're going to fight it for the foreseeable future, because we can't imagine that the Voting Rights Act in any way, shape, or form condones or justifies what is in effect an apartheid plan. Thank you.
I am delighted to stand here with members of our caucus in solidarity to the opposition of these maps. Let me be clear. As I stated earlier, we are here for one reason and one reason only, and that's justice. We don't expect justice from those that seek a supermajority. We expect justice from those in the federal government that represent all of these states across this country. Georgia being one of those states under the 65 Voting Rights Act that requires preclearance has given us an opportunity to have our voices heard with the Justice Department and to seek our redress with our President of these United States. We stand united in asking our Attorney General, our Justice Department, to do what's just and deny preclearance on both the House and the Senate maps that have just passed these chambers just in the last few days of this General Assembly, this special session. At this time, I'm going to open it up for questions and to see if any of our other members would like an opportunity to come and speak. Let me say that the caucus has not adopted a position on the movement of the dates for the T-SPLOS, but we can speak individually. And as some of my colleagues have mentioned, considering the process that we've gone through, how we've been railroaded, how our rights have been denied, how when you think about what happened in 1868, members were expelled just because of their color, it gives me reason and cause to pause and not really support the ideas that the supermajority, the majority party seeks, have brought to our attention regarding this T-SPLOS. Now is not the time. And the members certainly can speak for themselves. But the issue here today is to address the issue of redistricting and how we plan to continue our fight regarding the egregious and seriously flawed process that the majority party has subjected all of us to up here at this General Assembly. As I mentioned, we are here to take our concerns directly to the Justice Department. We plan a fly-in in our nation's capital for a personal meeting with the Attorney General so that we can directly address our concerns. And there are strong support, unanimous support in our caucus for us to take our position directly to the Attorney General. We have engaged our community and our larger community to work with us on sending their comments directly to the Attorney General. This is just the beginning of a long process. We're also calling on our governor. And our governor has also expressed some reservations about what's happened in Hall County. And I would suggest to our governor that he also needs to concern himself with what's happening right here in Fulton County. So we're calling on our governor to send this bill back to us and insist that we work on fixing the issues and the problems with this map.